Generation wealth is made in how long you can wait. If you don't have much, it means you can wait long. But if you have enough disposable income, it means if you invested everything 50, 20, 100,000, whatever you invest, you don't need that for your primary living day-to-day life. And you can wait. And the longer you can wait to make money, the more money you make down the road. Private equity invests in matured companies already. So companies have been existing for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, even 40 years. Venture capital invest in startups. So these are the companies that are finding guys that bootleg in or everything and say, hey, we'll come in and we'll give pre-seed. And they're funding these companies at the early stage saying when they go public, we're going to make serious money. So if you had invested in the Facebook, for instance, when it was a private company, for instance, in 2004, and you waited till 2012 when they went IPO, and this would have been 8 years of waiting, right?
Welcome to another edition of the CYR Podcast, where if you clean your room, you change your life. Today we got a special guest, Chris Nwafor, businessman, always in the gym, man of faith.
Yeah.
Been seeing you for like 2 years now, ever since I started coming to Iron Heaven, bro.
Yep. Since 2023.
Yeah, and it's been nothing but love every time we interact.
Yeah.
I didn't know originally that you were a business owner. I didn't even know your backstory, bro.
Yeah.
But just as we started talking and passing, I was like, oh, this dude is dope. And he got some gems. He got some gems that he's not speaking on. And so it's an honor to be able to have you on the show, bro.
Thank you.
To be able to drop some gems, to be able to talk a little bit about your story and hopefully inspire some people that are watching. So real quick, go ahead, introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are, what you do. And we're going to hop right into things, all right?
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm Chris Nwafor and immigrated here about 7 years ago from technically Malaysia. I was born in Nigeria. I moved down to Malaysia to study and I made a decision I wanted to come here to the United States. I did that. I founded a couple of businesses. Among them is the capital venture we currently run and facility maintenance business too. Just done a couple of things, intrigued by business and what goes on there and the economics of it itself. So I'm not the best manager, but yeah, I do that. I contribute to the community. I help run a program called Student Success with the Barrier to Scholarship Foundation, where we help first generation Hispanic Latino kids successfully go to college, but also stay in college, helping them build career pathways to let them just know what the future is going to look like. So, yeah.
That's dope, bro. That's dope.
Yeah.
You came to the States from Malaysia, but you're from Nigeria. That's the first question I wanted to hit.
Yeah.
Off record, you moved out of Nigeria at 17 years old.
Yes.
To Asia.
Yes.
Over 10,000 miles away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, what were some of before I ask that, first off, what was the motivation for you to go to Malaysia out of all places? Yeah. And then number two, like what were some of the challenges that you faced like moving from Nigeria to an Asian country? Yeah. Like what were the cultural differences? What were some of the things that you noticed over there? What were some adversities that you maybe faced?
Yeah. Well, so I'll answer those in bits. Number one, moving, the first question, what made me move out of Nigeria? I always wanted to move out of Nigeria because just as I grew up with this, I was enigmatic about the world and what was out there. And I remember we stay in Nigeria and we see the planes fly by. It's like, it'd be fun to get in one of those someday. Like, it'd be nice to know where the airport is and like travel the world and go to where you have to go to. Because till we're like 15 years, would probably never like come close to like a plane or anything, like didn't know what that looked like. So I always wanted to see the world, know what was on the other side. Very exposed to soccer. Growing up, I thought I was going to be a soccer player. I played pretty good. Like I was a decent soccer player. By the time I got to like 14, 15, I realized like, that's not what I'm going to do in the long run. I didn't want to retire as a soccer player. Now they last longer, but back then you get to 31, 32 and you're already planning retirement. And I go, I don't want to retire when I'm 31 or 32. So my sister, I got to credit Malaysia to my sister. She had an opportunity to go to Russia. She never did. She went to Malaysia. And she was there for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I wanted to go to England at first, and then became Italy, and then it became Ukraine. This was when Ukraine was a very stable country. Now it's no longer stable. So, but eventually, like all those didn't work out. My sister was there in Malaysia, and I'm just gonna apply to the same school she's at, and she made that happen. And I came there and I joined her. Yeah,
I feel that. I feel that. What do you think was like one of the biggest challenges that you faced moving there?
Adversity. Well, let's start from the basics, right? Just food. You're moving from Nigeria and everything, and I'm still a kid. I'm 17 years old, whatever. I'm technically 16, going on 17 or something, and you're moving there and you're used to eating this kind of food. Like, you just haven't been exposed to anything. And the first thing you get there, I remember getting there the next day, we had McDonald's, which I'd never had McDonald's before. And I was okay with that. Didn't taste the best, but I felt like that's all right. Like, burger, good. That's decent. Now, we went to school after the admission process and everything, registration and all that. We went down to the cafeteria, to the lunch hall downstairs. I remember vividly. And my sister got the food for 10 ringgit, which is the Malaysian currency. And I remember looking at the food and saying, I'm not going to eat that. I'm just, and she was like, that's what we eat here. And I go, no, and it wasn't even I've had different kind of food now. By the way, that became my favorite food eventually.
What was it exactly?
So, it was like noodles, like just Chinese food, pretty much. Like, it was some yao mein and mixed with char kway teow or something, just some Chinese food.
Mm-hmm.
And but the sauce, it was sweet and it was different. And I go, I don't even know if I want to eat this. I think there was probably some hot dogs in there too. And I'm like, what is hot dogs? Like, we're not used to eating these back in Africa. Like, that's not what we ate. We ate like simple, like straight up food, like beef and rice, or like soup with vegetables and a swallow substance, whatever thing that was, yam, cassava, whatever that was, beans and rice, and it was straightforward. This was a little bit more complicated than I'd ever seen, so that was strange. And then next one, another barrier was obviously language. I went to an international school. Bill Clinton was the chancellor there, but the language it's like people were speaking Mandarin, Tamil, Cantonese, Hokkien, Bahasa Melayu, and a little bit of English. So I'm very friendly, so I kind of like initiated myself inside. Number one, I'm not looking at picking up, anything with people, but so I kind of initiated myself inside. But it was different. And also I was dressed like this in college, the same way I was dressed now. I remember showing up in college and I was dressed like this, and everyone in the class thought it was the weirdest thing they've ever seen. So I had a shirt and a nice shoe, and everyone was wearing flip-flop. Like, whoa, like this ain't gonna go well. Yeah. So
I hear that.
Yeah.
Through that process of being at an international school, people speaking all different types of languages.
Yeah.
Along the way, did you acquire new languages or?
Well, you kind of learn how to sound like them. But it's just really hard to learn Mandarin.
Yeah.
You kind of start to understand Bahasa Melayu a little bit. It's much more easier language. It's what the Malays spoke. But other than that, for the most part, when we went to class, it was all English. So, and Malaysia is a British colony place. So everyone speaks English, just the same Nigeria is a British colony. So the lingua franca is English. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's other languages there too. And people who speak the language they speak the most at home. So, but they were able to interact back in English. So I didn't have to like really cross the other way to know how to speak their language. If I could pick one or two things, it was okay.
Definitely. All right. Want to hop right into your business ventures, bro.
Yeah.
You own a hedge fund pretty much, or you're a partner.
Yep.
You're a partner with a hedge fund. And that's big, bro.
Yeah.
That means you are somebody that I'm going to go to when I'm trying to start a new business venture. You're like, show me the financials, show me the projections.
Yeah.
We'll cut you a check pretty much.
Yeah.
how did you get into that field, or like what was like the process of deciding like, all right, this is a business venture that I want to start. Here's how I'm gonna start it, and here's why I'm gonna start it.
Yeah, it's just what I'm good at. It's what I'm good at. It's what my skills align to. Mm-hmm. I said like over the past, since I think started my first business in 2014, so it's going on 11 years now, and you just get to know what you're good at, and eventually you get to a point where you're no longer looking for anyone to give you approval on what you should do or what you shouldn't do. And to me, that was just what I was good at. Like 2013, I was living in Malaysia. This was when Buffett was all the rage. He had come back from being gone down to like 8th place in world richest position and everything, and had risen back to being the wealthiest person in the world. I had this partner called Charlie Munger. God rest Charlie Munger's soul, died 2 years ago. And Charlie's traveling all around Asia. They're acquiring companies in China, in Asia, and all that. And I got to know who these people were from Omaha. And I go, I'd love to do something like that someday. Knowing their story, reading about Dempster Mill, how, at the age 28, buying Dempster Mill, Buffett, and being one of the most hated men in Nebraska because he acquired Dempster Mill, and they had to liquidate the company, and they cut off most of the workers there, and how the city didn't want anything to do with him anymore at the age 28. And I'm reading all these stories back in Asia. Like, very interesting. Like, this kid did some spectacular stuff. Acquiring Berkshire at the age like 34 or something, and flying all the way there to meet with the manager, firing the manager in the process of trying to fire the manager there. His father dies and all that. I'm inspired about like what these guys are able to do, like from the financial side, convincing Charlie Munger to quit his law practice, which was giving him a lot of money, and saying, hey, you're smarter than that. You shouldn't. You're too smart to be a lawyer. Quit that and join me.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 years later, Charlie quits that and got into the investment business. And down the road, they ended up building Berkshire Hathaway to what it was. So I was inspired by those stories, and I really couldn't do anything because you have 10 ringgit, which is about that's as much savings I had back then, and that's about $2.50. So. So $2.50 don't go far. You ain't buying no company.
You ain't buying nothing.
With $2.50. Even if you compound that at the rate of 100% compounded,
gonna take some time.
Which is what we've done, right? We've compounded that at a very high rate, probably 1,000% every year, and it's gotten us to where we are. But that just lingered in my mind, but I couldn't really do anything. So I started the first business, the second one, third one. In 2020, we went into the alternative asset investment business, which is what a hedge fund is. And then COVID happened. That happens. I was speaking to a friend, and he convinced me to go do business, go do the fiscal business, go get your hands dirty, right? Don't just because hedge fund is a strategy business, right? It's plotting and strategy. And, if you have a little bit of, know how to raise funds, that will help and all that, but it's mostly strategy. Strategic thinking. There's no heavy lifting behind it. There's brain work. It's like being a medical doctor or everything. Like there's no heavy lifting behind it. So I go, okay, which was not the best advice because I think I already had the wheels to run back then. And I went into the auto dealership business and then facility maintenance. And I was in that for like a total of, and still own the facility maintenance business. I was in that for a total of like 5 years. And, but last year I go, I've done this for the past 11 years, kind of in and out. It's time for us to just get going fully. And I'm stronger. We can raise capital. We know more people. In 2020, when he told me that before COVID happened, I didn't listen to him, but I listened to him after COVID happened, because when he said that COVID happened and everyone disappeared, and I realized I didn't know nobody. I'd only lived in the United States for 2 years. And so when we had the alternative investment fund, it literally failed because when what shut down, everyone took their money and this and that, and it just didn't work. So, but looking back and say, okay, that was 5 years ago or 4 years ago. It's time to go back in now. And so we went in fully at the beginning of this year.
Gotcha. Yeah. Real quick, I almost forgot. As a licensed therapist, I'm big on mental health and I'm big on making sure that you're taking care of you. And I also want to get rid of this stigma that we got towards mental health. Like, there's nothing wrong with talking to a therapist. So if you're somebody that's out there that really wants to start getting their mind right, who wants to really start understanding their emotions and being able to process things that you probably repressed, that you probably ain't talked about, that you might have been even ashamed about talking about. Or check this out. You might not be ashamed about it and you just ain't found a person for you to talk to. You want to find somebody that's relatable, that can understand you, got a little swag, you know what I'm saying? A little swag. And they not too far removed. Make sure that you tap in with Bear Company Counseling. All you gotta do is hop down in the description, click the link, put in your info, and the front desk rep will reach out to you and get you plugged in with a therapist that I promise you, as long as you're ready, will help you to get whatever you need right up here so that you can succeed in every other avenue and aspect of your life. Tap in with a therapist today at Bear Company Counseling. Now, you can get back to the video for real. I promise I won't hop back in again. Can you break down for the people that are watching exactly what a hedge fund is and how you help or benefit businesses?
Yeah. So let's talk about fund generally, right?
Okay.
You have the private equity fund, which last year was what I did mainly.
What is that? Real quick.
Yeah, I'll break it down. I'll break all of them down.
Break it down because it's going to be somebody that hears private equity and they're going to...
Yeah. So you have private equity, you have hedge funds, and you have, let's just consider the rest, like, asset allocation / whatever thing you want to call them, like mutual funds and all that, which is much more diversified. So private equity, just like the way this name sounds, you're looking at private assets mainly. Like you're looking at private businesses, anything private, right? Hedge fund, you're looking at public stuff for the most part. You're looking at equities on that side. So equity is the side of the company that signifies the ownership of the company, right? Now you on a company's balance sheet or everything, you have two sides. You have the equities and you have the debt. So the debts are known as bonds and the equities are known as stocks. So you're looking at those two sides. Mostly we do 100% equities. We don't do any kind of debt, distress or any kind of thing like that. So that's what a hedge fund is. But they're all funds, right? Private equities, you're looking at private companies, large conglomerates that are huge, and you can buy them, you can leverage them. Back in the 80s, there was something called the LBO, leverage buyouts, where these guys would put about, let's say, $2 million together, and they use that to go buy $1 billion company, So they were leveraging the hell out of it, but they knew how to turn the company around. They were very smart individuals, and they knew if they could get in there, they could turn that company around. And it lingered a little bit from 70s and 80s. There's a book called The Barbarian at the Gates. And it's how, what's it called? Tropicana Nabisco. They overbid the company and just, bidding until the price went up to the roof. So times they would take a company that's public and bring it private and own it and restructure the company and take it public again. So they bring it in for, let's say they bought the company for $800 million. Right? They put $5 million to buy it, right? They take the company, restructure the company for a period of maybe 3-4 years and put it back again public, right? It goes back, the equities goes on the stock market and people will buy the company for higher. Mm-hmm. And that's how these guys will make whatever thing profit, $500 million profit or whatever thing they make in that process.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, just making sure I'm hearing it correctly. Essentially, what a hedge fund does is hedge funds goes out, they raise capital or they raise money through different investors. They're like, hey, we're gonna go and try to acquire these stocks, these public stocks, and we want to get majority position in the public stock because that's what I hear you saying. Like you're not going after bonds, so you're not going after companies that have large amounts of debt. Yeah,
some companies will go after that.
Some will, but yours in particular, you're not. You're looking for companies where it's like, all right, we see what your stock is worth. Yeah. Let's raise this money. Let's go buy majority shares. Yeah. Take it over so we have majority control.
It could be. Could be. So majority, usually when people want to go for majority, they go there because they want to have something called activism. Yeah. And activism is when you can actually you can have a say on the board level. So it's like, well, I want my voice to be heard. it's a little bit like private equity when you buy a majority of, because it's like, okay, I'm going to sit on the board and I'm gonna remind the board every time that we own a substantial amount of this company, and here's where we want the company to go. And you kind of get control of the company. Yeah. In many regards, you really don't have to do that. That's a lot of heavy lifting, because now it could be very confrontational, because you're coming into a management that's already been in place for a long time, and you bought majority of the company because you believe you could go there and readdress the company. Mm-hmm. And now you're facing this guy that's been CEO of the company. He doesn't own the company, but he's been CEO of the company for the past 12 years. You're telling him this is what you want to do, and he's got his own agenda in place. And he wants to make his own compensation. So activism could go really well, and it could go really bad too. But that's usually what happens when people own majority of a company. If not, portfolio managers, investment managers would not typically go for owning on the hedge fund side, because you want to hedge. The whole idea is to hedge against risk. It's like, hey, we're going to outperform the market. Let's say the S&P 500 is doing 12%, like it's doing now, right? For the past 4 or 5 years of everything. It's like, we want to outperform that. We believe we can do 18%. So you have to do a lot of risk management, and you have to be you really have to go in depth in your concentration, because what you're pretty saying is like, hey, I'm going to beat the general public. I think I have the knowledge that requires me to beat the general public. So that's the game you're playing. Yeah.
How do you begin to raise money, or how do you make those relationships to be able to have initial investors when starting a hedge fund?
Yeah. Well, it takes a while to build relationships. As I said, like mentioned earlier, in 2020, one of the things, even if we had the idea, one of the things we didn't have was relationships. And I think people get to know you, they get to trust you, they get to see what you're all about. They've seen you in the right places at the right time. And I think the consistency of showing up, people begin to want to invest in you. Like, it goes away from, hey, I just want to invest in your company, to I want to invest in you as a person. And I think that's when life becomes a little bit easier, when people can say, hey, as a person, I want to invest in you. And the business is secondary. So for me, that's been the way it's worked. Just because, I didn't grow up here at all, so didn't know anyone. It's you going there and showing like, hey, I'm the guy who will show up even if it's 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we'll get the job done. So you start with that, and in the hedge fund business, you cannot advertise, you cannot market, you can't do any solicitation. So it has to be referral. That's the only way you can grow that. You have to know someone directly for you to be able to ask them for money. And in many cases, they have to be accredited. There are other ways to go around it, but
250 plus, right? That's accredited.
Well, you have to make that a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the other one is, you have to have a net worth of, I think, $1.5 million.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that means all assets liquefied.
Yeah. Without your primary resident.
Yeah. So real quick, we're gonna break that down, because again, there's gonna be people that's watching this and they like, they over here speaking neuroscience right now. Like,
yeah.
So
I don't think so. I think it's easily comprehensible. We can go.
But most people aren't talking about accredited investor. Investor, right? Like, most of us, when it comes to stocks, and I think that this conversation is really good. Yeah. Most people, and I'm glad that we have platforms like Robinhood, and I think Acorn is another one now that teaches people about investment a little bit. Like, you can see different public companies that you can trade from, but like that deeper knowledge of like, okay, to become an accredited investor, like that now opens you up to a whole nother ballpark of like investments, and like that's where like generational wealth happens. Like when you make it to the accredited level, because now you're not trading for pennies on the dollar, you're trading for millions. When the market moves, your bank account runs, as opposed to slow grandma walk around the mall. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so just understanding being an accredited investor means that you're making more than $250,000 a year. Yeah. And then your net worth liquid, which means not necessarily how much money you have in the bank, but how much all of your assets, and assets are things that hold value. So your house could be an asset. Most of the time, your house is a liability because you have a lot of debt, unless you have equity in the house, which means you have like positive capital gain in the house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or like if you own a business, that's another asset. If you have Gold. Gold is a huge asset, but silver is an even bigger asset. Yep. Silver, you get more bang for your buck, and it's steadily increasing. Gold has been stagnant for quite some time. So these are just different examples of assets. But if you have a net worth of $1.5 million in order to be able to have access to hedge funds, is that correct?
To hedge funds and the private market generally. So you talked about generation wealth, and generation wealth is made in how long you can wait. So what the government is trying to do with the SEC law there and all that thing put together there is, well, if you don't have much, it means you can't wait long, right? So, but if you have enough disposable income, it means if you invested everything 50, 20, 100,000, whatever you invest, you don't need that for your primary living day-to-day life. And you can wait. And the longer you can wait to make money, the more money you make down the road. So if you had invested in the Facebook, for instance, when it was a private company, for instance, in 2004, and you waited till 2012 when they went IPO, then this would have been 8 years of waiting, right? Number one, you have to be accredited to be able to invest in that. And there are ways to go around it, as I said, there's ways to chip in here and throw money in. But if you had invested in that, it means you're waiting till IPO from private to public. And that span of waiting, right? You're not taking that money out. So if you'd put in money hey, you need for your day-to-day life already, you'll be in trouble, right? Yeah. So the government tries to mitigate all those risks and the liability there of losing, as we know, that's one we didn't talk about. We talked about private equity. We didn't talk about private, what's it called? Venture funds.
Break it down.
Yeah. Venture funds now are funds that invest in early startup companies. Like private equity invest in matured companies already. So companies have been existing for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, even 40 years. Venture capital invest in startups. So these are the companies that are finding guys that bootlegging or everything and say, hey, we'll come in and we'll give pre-seed, or we're going to give a seed, or we're going to step in a series 1 or a series 2 or a series 3. Or I don't know, some people call it Series A, Series B, Series C. And they're funding these companies at the early stage saying when they go public, we're going to make serious money. Now, usually technological companies, your Facebook, your Uber, your Amazon, your Google, whatever thing, they all go through this process of, hey, someone comes in and funds them at the beginning. The company goes public. They sell those shares for a lot and they exit the business. So the risk of they'll make 20 of those deals, 1.5 will be successful. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why are you there? Why are you making those deals? You can see the money disappearing in front of you. Yeah. And so you put in $1 million. The only one really working at this point is about $70,000. So for the average mind, they don't get that. That $70,000 could still be 70 million in the future, because if that one Facebook works, or when that one Facebook works, that one Facebook becomes a juggernaut in its space compared to. So are you willing to take that ride down for 8 years? Yeah. Or 6 years? But that's generational wealth now, because 70,000 in Facebook today, believe me, is at the beginning. There's a guy that painted the place. You know the famous story of this Asian guy that got contracted to paint the Facebook office when they got their Facebook office. Young guys, they want to have the young trend. So Mark calls this guy and say, hey, come put some graffiti and some mirrors on the wall. We want this place to be cool, hype for kids whenever they come in here. And how much is it going to cost? 60,000. Yeah, we got the money. We can pay you 6,000, or you can take 16 in cash. And he goes, no, man, I'm gonna take the stock. I'll take it in stock, not cash. He took it in stock, and when they went IPO, it was $200 million. So it's a different. I mean, and that was 2012. If he didn't sell, he sold. I think he sold some, but if he didn't sell, that money is in the couple $1 billion now.
He's set. Yeah. He's set.
So that's. I mean, but usually as a capital, they play in that risk with many deals at the same time. So that's venture capital. That's different from private equity, and that's different from a hedge fund.
Yeah. How did you decide between which type of funding source you wanted to be?
Yeah. I think it's your skills, like what you're really good at. I'm not, when you do, guys, I saw you have the book Strength Finders. Like my strength is like context is like number one. Usually I want to see the past records. I want to see the trajectory and everything. I'm not really trying to like recreate any major stuff. I'm just trying to like understand. So I look at myself from a point of preservation. I'm like, here's a great company. I think it's preserved. I think it has sustainable competitive advantages. And I think it's worthwhile moving with it. Like it's going to be worth something in the future compared to a person who has futuristic as their number one, for instance. They're like, oh, wow, this technology is going to change the world. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to change the world. From studies, we've seen like the many technologies that come that do not change the world. So the past percentage there is 0 point whatever thing. Most of them fail. So I'm not interested in that. Like that's too high risk for me. So I'm interested in where I can see it. I understand the business. I know what's behind it. I understand the management, and I go, well, a shipping company, they're still gonna be shipping stuff in the next 25 years. Yeah.
Bro, so you mentioned your strengths and being able to build off of those when it comes to your business. Along the way, what hardships have you noticed or have you faced, even when it seems like you're playing on your own strengths in your industry? Yeah. Have you faced any hardships? Have there been any investments where it was like, "Ooh, this went sour. It didn't go the way that we planned or expected"?
Many, all of them. Many. I mean, you get good, but that's the whole deal with playing the game you like to play. Now I'm kind of more focused on playing what I really like to play. And I think the more you're turned on to want to play, the more you can bypass the failures and like, okay, like I know I'm good at this, so that's okay. I made a mistake there. It's like, yeah, we move on. But just generally as an entrepreneur, it's, you playing in the microeconomics of things, you playing in the macroeconomics of things. Like no one predicted COVID. COVID year we were having a great 2019.
Yeah.
We thought we were about to take over the world. I authored a book called Rules for Greatness. Like, Christopher, good job in 2 years. You've done a great job. Tell them what the rules for greatness is here. But you don't understand what the macroeconomics of things is going to be. And then the other part again is people. Right? You don't understand what a person is going to do and what a person is not going to do. And you can't hold anyone ransom. So when you start working with people are going to do what they want to do and what they don't want to do, and everything, and changes are going to happen. So all that plays into part. And I've seen failures from that, delays. Was the time we're manufacturing stuff in China. And and at times you wait so long. We waited so long for the products to come. By the time the product came, the market had changed completely. There were engine gaskets, right? We did some manufacturing in India too. By the time we wait for the products to come again, the same thing. So you try to time the market and all this, and because all this is, you just want to turn money over and change 10,000 to 20,000 or whatever. And it goes the other way around. You change 10,000 to 5,000. Not a good idea.
Yeah.
But you learn from all that. So the challenges have been, people, understanding people, working with people, understanding the microeconomics of things generally, and say, well, the macro could still affect the micro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the economic trend could affect, you probably didn't even do anything wrong. You did it all right. You bought it at the right price, you manufactured it at the right price, where everything, you're selling it to the right guy. By the time it comes, the exchange rate might have gone this way. If the exchange rate in that country changes compared to the exchange rate in this, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you're selling it for more, but when you change the money back to dollar, it's no longer it's no longer worth what it's supposed to be. Like, how did it happen? But that's the deal. Like, so those are some of the challenges we faced, and I was glad I faced those challenges when I was younger, and make you lose your mind. There was a time where I had to sit down and every day, and this was in love. Money was probably maybe 10,000 or everything. I'm taking ibuprofen because I'm waiting for the money to come, and I'm having headache. I'm like taking ibuprofen it's like, am I going to pay rent? Like how? 24 years old, 23 years old, just came in the country 2 years ago. It's like, no, like how are we gonna do this? And yeah, so those were some really hard days, but you just linger and you fight on. And for me, my faith has been the stable part of everything. So even when I fall, capitulate, I just look back to God and I say, God, you're gonna help me through this process.
Man, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Two things. First one I want to hit on. Bro, I am glad that
Yeah.
you said that I experienced failures.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people who believe in order to be successful, you can't fail. And the moment that you fail, it's over.
Yeah.
And the reality of the situation is like, whenever you see a successful person, 10 times out of 10, there were probably 10 failures that you didn't see them overcome. There were 10 times where you didn't see them question how they were going to pay rent. There were 10 times where you didn't see them saying like, yo, I don't know if I'm going to go eat these ramen noodles or if I'm going to be able to go grocery shop. Like there's so many instances where all you see is the success. Right? Because you don't get that glimpse into, man, I had to start over, recreate, learn from this failure, learn from this mess up, learn from this mistake, realize that the macro level or like the bigger picture actually is affecting this almost perfected plan that I have right here. Like there were things that were outside of my control that just disrupted everything. And now I have to erase the board, go back to ground zero and build it all up again. Like failure is essential in the success track of an entrepreneur. And so for y'all that are out there watching and you're like, man, like I can't get this money, or man, I tried this idea and nobody bought my shirt, or nobody wanted whatever it is I had to offer. Like realize that if you want to be successful, you have to have that failure. You have to go through that failure. You're going to. You're going to experience the failure. It's essential and it's necessary, because with those failures, you learn a little bit more. You take a little bit, you add to your armor, you keep on building. So then the next time you don't get penetrated as much.
No.
It doesn't hurt as bad. Like it might be a little dink, a little kink in the chain mill, but you're able to pick back up and keep on going. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And then to continue on, you lean on your faith. Walk us through that, because I believe that's another integral piece of being a successful entrepreneur and a successful business person is having a faith-driven mindset or personality, because when you don't, it makes everything so much harder, and it lacks genuine purpose or intention. So can you talk a little bit about your faith and how it's affected, or how it's had an impact on your businesses and on your entrepreneurial journey?
Faith's been everything to me. Before I learned about I didn't know much about business until probably 2012, 2013. Honestly, Warren Buffett was the first business person I really knew about, which very thankfully I'm here in Omaha. But faith has always been, I knew, scripture I follow is, "Hear the man that's diligent in all things, he should stand among great men, he will not stand among good men." Paul writing to Timothy said, "See, if you make yourself a vessel ready, you'll be ready for the master's use." And that's the whole thing. I just like, hey, God, like, how can I position myself to be ready for your use? Now, as you read through scriptures and everything, or experience in life, difficulties will happen. And in my case, I said, like, they've happened, like getting up and leaving Nigeria and going to Malaysia. That was hard, And even if my sister was there, I wasn't spending time with my sister. I was still alone on my own. Because everyone's doing their own thing. So you're in this huge country you don't know anything about. So faith, how do you look to God in those times? And when you fall sin, when you're on the ground, life's not happening the way life's supposed to happen. How do you, I'm in 2021, 22, when we had started the car dealership. Well, 21, we started a car dealership and it was doing okay. And then the supply market went really south, right? Now everyone had recovered from COVID, but everyone's trying to catch up. So car prices went up the hill. I started competing with large auto dealerships like Baxter and Woodhouse. And you can't compete with them. They've got a couple $100 million to buy cars
and they can buy
every day.
Bulk, so they get them a little bit
and
cheaper.
they were the ones selling the us at first. So I looked at it and I said, I can keep this business going or I can keep paying my rent. And I go, hey, I keep paying the office rent and everything. And I'm moving into the office. I took a room in the office. And I stayed there for almost business was doing well and I was living there already. And I go, I'm still going to keep living here. I came back and I saw a rat in my food one day and I go, okay, it's time to move out. and I'm like, oh, wow, they got in. So it's like, that was when I had to change things. But it's like, how much are you willing to do what you want to do for the purpose of what you want to do? And that strength comes from your foundation. If your foundation is easily moved, then you get moved. If your foundation is solid, which is my foundation, is the foundation of Jesus Christ. And I look to God and say, hey, God, give me the wisdom, give me the strength, give me the perseverance to go through this time. And hopefully I can learn something. And you get stronger. That's it. You hit it on the head. Failure makes you stronger, right? That's what we push for in the gym.
Come on.
To be strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, you mentioned working at Genesis earlier.
Yeah.
And you said 2017. So 2017, 2018, 2019, I think about 2019, I used to go there with my friend and he was trying to help me. He was like, hey man, Chris, one of these days you're going to be able to do 60 pounds bench press, like dumbbell, 60. And
he wasn't hitting 60s back in?
No. And I look at it, I go back, right? The whole drive was failure and we hit 60, right? Yeah. And we hit 70. I probably didn't even hit 70 until maybe 2022 or 2023. It's like, no, it's a different ball game, right? We warm up with 100.
I was about to say, you repping the weight, man.
Yeah. So it's failure. Your capacity is way beyond what you could imagine at times. You just got to embrace the failure and move on.
Yeah.
And say, okay, we failed at that. We move on to the next thing. Just not quitting. But you would not quit if you have God on your side. That's the difference. Other than that, you will quit. Man. I guarantee you.
Man. It's a different type of mindset. Yeah. It's a different type of spiritual process when you have that faith driving you.
Yeah.
Because it's through all things.
Yeah.
Through all things, you can accomplish it.
Yeah.
Through all things, there is no true failure.
Yeah.
It's just a learning lesson. And sometimes the learning lesson comes with a little bit more pain.
Oh, yeah.
It's
hard. Life will happen. Like last year, my uncle died and my mom, they never grew up with their parents anyway because they lost their parents. And that was affecting me because my parents my mom was disarray. That's our only brother and he's passed away and everyone is running around and he has kids and kids one kid is 8 months old and it's there's so much problems going on. This don't have nothing to do with business at all, right? But you got to absorb all that and be able to help lead, point to your family, and at the same time keep things going. It's life. Life is going to happen generally. It's not just the business side of things. Life comprehensively will happen. And in order for you to move on or to see past that or to see the immediate setback and look forward to the future gains in front, you just got to have something that's deeper. Yeah. And for me, that deep depth comes from God. Yeah. Ultimately. Yeah.
What has it been like for you to find community in your faith and in business? Yeah. Has that been an easy process to find people that relate in both aspects for you when it comes to community and it comes to support? Because something that I've noticed, and I might just be looking in the wrong places. And I mean, you're somebody.
Yeah.
But I think at times it gets hard to find people who have the two that intersect, right? It's easy to find people who are doing business, but they might be a little bit free spirited when it comes to their to their faith. But then there's also on the other end, right? And I think this is something that a lot of people don't talk about. People that are deep into their faith, but then when you talk about business progression and making money, it's almost like a bad thing. It's I can't be rich. I can't want more for myself. I have to be humble, and which I don't think humility means you have to be poor or you have to be just getting by. I don't think that's humility. I think God calls us to to accumulate wealth, and not egregious amounts of wealth to where like we're standing on top of the hill and looking down at everybody and like watching them all burn while we just stuff grapes in our mouth. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But like there's an aspect where it's like just find joy in your labor. It talks about it all through Ecclesiastes. You know what I'm saying? Is it hard for you to find those two intersections of business and faith in other people? It is.
It's hard to find business, and it's hard to find people that really want to do business. It's hard enough to find people that really want to do business in the first place. It's hard to find people that really want to stand on their faith. So finding really strong people with faith and very business minded who have had success in business, that's a little bit. As you start getting into your circle changes. I say my circle has changed now, but going back again at the beginning, you just do not know no one. Do not know where to find them. How no one knows your name. No one is like, oh wow, Christopher is a person of faith and this. And then your other friends you have, they're just not interested in that. Like, it just sound too much. It's like, dude, like, what are you trying to do with a couple $100 million? Like, why do you even want that kind of money? Like, what's your problem? Like, you got health issues or what's? It's just, it's like, as you said, it rubs people off the wrong way in the first place. And, so now there could be people of faith, but that's just too much. I mean, even last week I was having a conversation, and the conversation was talking about Starbucks and the CEO of Starbucks and Howard Schwartz, how he came back to the business. I wanted to go into that because I wanted to talk about Starbucks. And the person I'm sitting with made it very clear, Christopher, no one knows nothing about Howard Schwartz. And we don't want to talk about Howard Schwartz now. Leave the business out of this. So, and we were having faith discussion. So that's definitely hard. Yeah. I've done that out.
Yep. You're good.
Yeah, but those two are very exclusive games on their own. Like, being a person of faith means you're almost separated. You know, like, you're not doing what everyone does. Being a business person means you're very independent. You know, so when you have two separated and independent, you don't want isolation, but automatically those two things leads you to is a little bit of you on your own.
Yeah. How have you been able to find community?
Yeah. By finding people that love what I love. You know, it's hard at times because, I'm not partying, I'm not doing anything. So a lot of my friends are older people that have done things that the people that have lived ahead of me already. So I kind of have an opportunity to follow them. And the rest of my time, I don't spend my time I invest my time and say, hey, let me read or let me do something. But I have community. I have community from a point of work. I have community from a point of I have various communities. I always say if all my communities come together, they probably wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't understand each other.
Yeah.
Right. It's up to me now to say, hey, I fit into that community and I fit into this community and I fit there. And understand hey, they might not understand what I understand, or they might not want what I want, or I might not want what they want. But I'm just going to go do what I can do. I'm going to go give the gifts I have at that time and then move on to the next one. So I'm very involved in the Hispanic community. I am not Hispanic in any shape or form.
For real?
No. Yeah. So it's like when I get in there, it's like, it's like the kid from Africa leading our Hispanic agenda. It's like a little bit off, but it's like, hey, I have 2 cents to contribute here and I'll do that. Or in any other case, without political or anything. But I'm always looking for advancement. Who is doing something that's vital? And whoever is doing that, I want to have some relationship with them one way or the other and say, hey, your gifting, your calling, do that. How can I throw 1 or 2 cents here? And how can I help hold the other leg while you hold that? And hopefully, someone else does that for me too at the same time. So
definitely. We're gonna pivot a little bit because we're starting to get close on time.
Yeah,
bro. You mentioned Warren Buffett a lot.
Yeah,
and I think Warren Buffett for you has been.
I'm sorry for that.
Why are you sorry?
I'm joking. I'm not sorry for that.
No need.
Yeah.
It's almost like a lot of the things you do are modeled after Buffett's model.
Yeah.
As far as just like your hedge funding business, it looks very similar to early Buffett and how he began to grow his business. And I know off cuff, before, one of the early conversations that I had with you was just that, like, you not idolize Buffett, but you admire Buffett in the way that he runs his business and his things, and it even led to an opportunity for you to be able to meet Warren Buffett and talk with him. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, no, I haven't met Warren. Okay. I haven't met Warren yet. I have a friend that works in his office, and hopefully that will happen sometime in the future.
I was speaking it into existence, bro.
I think it would. I really do. I think I could if I wanted to. I haven't really like pursued it that way. But I could if I wanted to. At this time, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I wouldn't be able to tell you that. But I have been to some very exclusive events that only people that can get to him will attend and all that. So. Buffett's, his life, and he did something interesting. He went to New York and said, hey, I'm going to leave everyone there, which is where the industry is really rooted in. Mm-hmm. And say, hey, I'm going to sit down in Omaha, nowhere, and I'm going to become the wealthiest person in the world. That takes guts. Yeah. Right? You really, really got to, like, the investment business is going against, that's what it is. You're saying, hey, I'm taking a bet against the crowd. That's what it is. It's like, oh, okay, the majority is wrong. That's what the investment business is, plainly. It's the majority is wrong. You're saying the majority is wrong, I'm right. So, in order for you to really, really do that, he did the pinnacle of that. And he says that he did it on the highest of the highest of the highest of the highest of the highest level of saying, I'm not just going to stay with all these guys that think the majority is wrong. I'm even going to leave them and go separately and really, really separate myself and stay. And I would not do business the way they did business. And then his other philosophical and moral principles, I think, are very admirable on how he conducted his life. 94 years old, 95 now. I think he's lived a very worthy life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Warren is he's a weekly watcher of my podcast, bro. So you know, Warren, when you see this, man, like, just know we're orchestrating a meetup between Chris, myself, you, and whoever else you want to have there. Dinner is on me, but that really means on you. Yeah. You take us wherever you want to go, man. I like mahogany. Mahogany Steakhouse. You ever been
Good.
there?
I think he'd take you to Gorat. I think that's where he'll take you to.
Gorat is fire. Yeah. I will go there.
There's a connection there. You know Terrence Crawford, right?
Yeah.
So Terrence knows Warren real well. And that, I don't know Terrence personally. I never met him too, but I know a really good friend that knows him. And I think there's always a connect. There's always a way to get around if you want to.
I think one of the cool things about Omaha is you're always like 1 to 2 degrees away from like the connection that you're looking for. And so just like what you were saying right there, like just a few people off from the one connection that we want. Yeah. Next thing, bro, before we started rolling the cameras, you were talking about a conference that you attended. Yeah. And how that conference, I think, and again, you could correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was a pivotal moment in your life that ultimately set you on a trajectory.
It was.
To being the person that you are, to being the businessman that you are, to being the intellectual that you are.
Yeah.
And it all started with cornflakes.
Well, my sister, just as usual, right? She's going and picking things that are above her capacity. She's 13 years old. And we started this conversation because I saw the book Think and Grow Rich, And I go, that's the first book I ever bought as a person. I was about 13 years old, 12, turning 13. He
bought Think and Grow Rich when he was 13 years old.
Yeah, not even 13 yet. 12, turning 13. I'm very serious with that. My sister, a year earlier, she's a year older than me. She had gone to a conference called the Youth Alive Convention. It's a big conference in Nigeria. It's under my church, the Living Faith Church in Nigeria. You have youth show up. Now, we didn't get the note saying, hey, you got to be like 18 years old before you're a youth or anything. My sister had gone, and because she came back and had wonderful stories, I told my friend, like, we got to go too. So we're 12 years old and everything. We show up there with our bags, packed up our cereal, cornflakes, and Golden More and everything. We had our milk. And we show up for this Youth Alive convention. And after the convention got over, we thought it was best thing ever that happened. It got over. I had about 1,000 naira left. Everyone had some money left, and buying stuff here and there. What they're gonna take back home. I saw this guy that had a bunch of books on the table. He was selling used books, and I went there. And the first one I saw was Napoleon Hills. I saw the name of the book, and I go, man, that sounds like a great name. This guy's gotta be. I don't know who he is, but he's gotta be a great guy, like, you know. And then I looked at the cover, Think and Grow Rich. So I bought the book and I started reading the book, and very quickly I realized, you know, it's just beyond my 12-year-old brain to comprehend. Absolute faith, desire, transmutation, imagination, death, sex, so many things in the book. And I'm reading that. But the story that happened was when I bought the book and I was leaving, I went back into the church, and I remembered this man looked at it and said, hey kid, what do you have in your hand? He was a grown, this wasn't a youth. This was a 60-some-year-old man at least, or even in his 50s, or he was older. I just know he wasn't 12 years old or anything. So an older gentleman that was sitting down there. And I showed him the book, and he was Think and Grow Rich, and he said, wow, if you read that, you're going to be great, you know? So I went back to see if he was there, and he wasn't there anymore. I didn't know if an angel or whatever thing. I just know, hey, like, I'm pretty sure some guy was sitting out here and told me if I read this book, like, and that kind of led me towards the part of, you know, books. All right, and anyone who knows me knows I'm a ferocious reader, not because I'm a good reader, but I really do know the secrets are found in that. So it's like, how much can you read and how much can you comprehend? Because if you're able to absorb those things, you just know, you know. I know what, someone can take your house away from you. They can't take what you know from you. Can't take your brain from you, you know? Man. So it's like, hey, that led to this book and then that book. And for the past, whatever thing, just reading has been the biggest advantage I've had in life. Yeah.
When you start to read, and you truly read, like, that's when keys start to become unlocked, because you can watch things, you can listen to things. Yeah. And I think both of those are good. But like, when you read, like, there's just another level mentally that just becomes like exposed. Yeah. And like, you're now able to like take in, process, see, look at different. Yeah. It's just different, bro. I still remember the first book that I read that changed my life for real was As a Man Thinketh by James Allen.
Oh, wow. Good book.
That book is fire, bro. That book, I read it and then I listened to it every single day. Yeah. Every single day. Every second. Man, it changed the way that I saw and thought about so many different things, my life experiences, things that I was going through, and I was just like, man.
It's a really good book.
It is. And it just sent me on this journey of like, I want to keep reading. I want to know more. I want to figure out more. Like, I want to understand myself. And I think that's the big thing right there. Yeah. Reading, depending on what you read. And I think there's areas for all different types of reading. Like, I'll read fiction, I'll read nonfiction, I'll do all of that. But like, when you get into nonfiction and you're doing self-discovery, like, it really helps you to turn inwards. Yeah. As opposed to like watching TV, watching social media, which has nothing to do with inward reflection. It has everything to do with outward projections. Yeah. So yeah, bro, that's a great story. One last question for you, because we're coming up on time.
That's all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody that's on their journey of trying to figure themselves out, trying to look past the failures that they may have experienced in their life, trying to understand the purpose that they have for themselves? They're in a place where it's like, I might have this faith, but my faith is small and I'm trying to step out on it, but I don't have the courage. Yeah. I want to grow in my journey. I want to get to a place to where I can say, like, my life has meaning. I'm successful now. Yeah. What advice would you give to them?
I love this one. Well, the advice would be live on your edge. Like, let's imagine our lives being a circle. You got to live on the edge of the circle, not in the center, at the edge. And here's what that's going to lead to. It's going to lead to fear. But fear is the sharpest version of yourself. When you're doing the hardest things, you're going to face fear. And that fear means you're doing something that's important, something that's beyond yourself, something where you have to be, your awareness has to be very heightened for you to survive. And if you can live at that edge, is what you're going to discover. Your edge is going to grow. It's going to get wider. But it doesn't just stop there. You have to do it for a long period of time. And here's why you have to do it for a long period of time. And here's why you do it for a long period of time. Number one, you're going to be doing something you love. You're going to be doing it with a heightened level of excitement. That means you're turned on. So even if you start little or you start very small, the growth margins of that, the ability for you to compound that becomes very high. So it's do something you love, face the fears that are there, and do it for a long period of time. And that way you live an asymmetric life. It's by far the biggest thing I've realized. You just have to do what you love, because when you do what you love, you're turned on. And being turned on makes all the difference. If you're waking up in the morning and you want to go get something done, very few people will be able to compete with you there, because most people are waking up and going and having to do what they don't want to do. So it's being turned on. That's what really counts. And you only do that when you're living in your own circle of competence. And that circle, you can't live in the middle. You got to live at the edge, the boundaries. You got to push the boundaries and expand those circles. So that's my principle for living an asymmetric life.
Come on. That's beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful. And y'all, when you do that, right? When you do that and you're on your entrepreneurial journey, what you'll see happen is you'll become an accredited investor, which means you'll have over $250,000 being made that's coming to you each year. And at that point, as long as you fit into the game plan that Chris has, you can go out there and you can go get you some hedge fund money because it fits the blueprint. So full circle moment right there. Full circle moment right there. Bro, I appreciate you for coming on, for breaking down just like a different aspect and a different perspective of finances that many people don't know about. And I think this information right here and this conversation right here will help people to be able to elevate and see like, okay, it's more than just, like I said, Robinhood and Acorns. It's more than just, let me just throw my $7 on here. It's like, there's a whole nother game out here that I can be a part of. I believe that the more knowledge that you acquire, the more wealth and the more gain that you're able to receive.
The biggest investment a person can make is to invest in themselves. That's the biggest thing. That's where you get the largest gain. You cannot compound more than you can compound investing in yourself.
Come on. Come on, bro. But y'all, I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of the CYR Podcast. When you clean your room, you change your life, you change your reality, you create your resilience, you do all the acronyms of CYR. It is what it is, y'all. We out. Peace. Awesome. Yeah, man.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you, man. I think that was good.